This is One-on-One. Love that stuff. The guy who's all involved in it is Charlie Schroeder, author of Man of War, My Adventures in the World of Historical Reenactment. How you doing, Charlie?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Listen, I'm looking at you on the cover of here. By the way, you look heavier here.
Thanks. 20 pounds.
Is that because you're wearing stuff underneath because you have to fight and the artillery could hurt you? Is that what it is?
I wish.
Or are you just heavy?
No, I was heavy. I was under tremendous stress from writing the book.
Writing the book?
Yeah, that was about in the middle of the process.
Right.
And you know, I had my day job, and I was traveling all over the country, dressing up as different historical figures, and I was a little stressed out, to be perfectly honest.
Let's put this thing in perspective. It took you 15 months, right? You were an embedded journalist. People say embedded journalist like in the Gulf War. Yeah. No, you were an embedded journalist with these reenactors.
That's right.
Who are reenacting wars. By the way, what kind of wars were they reenacting?
Anything from ancient Rome, the invasion of Britannia, to the Vietnam War, believe it or not. So it's a quite broad range that people reenact.
Now, I have to ask you this, Charlie. Were there people around you who are close to you and care about you who asked, why?
Yes, many people, in fact. And you know, for me, it was an exploration not just of the subculture, but I really wanted to learn about history. You know, I grew up in a log cabin that was built in 1740 in Pennsylvania, and I moved out to Los Angeles, and I felt like, what is this place all about? Hold on, are you making this up? No, it's true. I grew up next to...
You sound like Abe Lincoln. I grew up in a log cabin.
I grew up next to Amish people in a log cabin that was built in 1740. I mean, I truly think that I'm one of the few people in the world that can, say that.
So you love history?
With a smile on my face. No, I hated history. I knew nothing about it. I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be the big city under the lights and all this other stuff. And then I move out to Los Angeles, and I feel like, what's going on here? There's no history here.
Right.
And so, in many ways, for me, it was like I needed that foundation still in my life. And I wanted to learn about this subculture too, and so this was my way of exploring both.
Okay, so how do you get in? Because my understanding about these folks, you can see I'm a pacifist because I'm not messing with this face. I don't get it. I got to be honest. I have nothing against it because I don't get it, and I don't criticize people or things I don't know.
Yeah.
But when you had to get in with these guys and women, men and women, and dress up and be a part of it, I've got to believe that they were very suspicious of you.
Some people were, and it took a long time to gain their trust.
How did they know that you weren't going to make fun of them?
That's a great question. Look at this face.
No, I said look at this face.
Oh, look at that face.
How did they know, seriously, that you were not going to do a book that made them look like kooks?
Yeah, well, because I think that when I talked to them on the phone, I earned their trust, and I explained very sincerely what I was trying to do. And that was a real concern of mine. I didn't want to portray anybody as a kook. I just said what happened, and I let the reader make up their own mind. If they think it's cool, if they think it's funny, if they think it's strange or whatever, that's up to the reader.
What did you see?
What did I see?
What did you see?
I saw the horrors of war. I mean,
You saw the horrors of fake war.
I saw the horrors of fake war, but I should also say that some people take it to such extremes that there is a moment, it's something that's called the period rush that these reenactors get.
What?
Period rush.
What does that mean?
Meaning that if you go back in time, you kind of feel like I was there, like at this moment in time. I was outside the city of Stalingrad in 1942 or whatever. And if you're dressed up and you're taking things very, very seriously, there is this moment where you start to forget where you are, what century you're in, and that you're actually in this battle. And this does happen.
But the bullets aren't real.
The bullets
Charlie.
aren't real, but the conditions. I was in 20-degree weather without sleeping bags and without tents and all this other stuff. And you start to put yourself in this position of, well, what was this? Is this an approximation of what it was like?
Well, where were you?
I was in the middle of Colorado, but you don't see any modern amenities, no modern telephone poles, nothing around to remind you of where you are. And after a while, it doesn't, I know it sounds crazy, but after 9 hours of doing this, or 10 hours, or 24 hours, you have to kind of pinch yourself and say, okay, all right, I'm in the 21st century, I know that I'm in the 21st century, and I know that this is fake, but this is miserable.
But you couldn't have a pen and a pad. In certain cases, because you were fighting wars, reenacting wars, in certain periods of time, and they want it to be as accurate or authentic as possible, right?
Right.
You could not have a pen and a pad because
they wouldn't have had it back then.
exactly.
For
so
example,
what did you do?
So in many cases, they made concessions for me, but it was, have to have a number 2 pencil and a very nondescript, bland pad and paper or whatever. For Rome, I had to carry around a leather-bound notebook.
What do you mean for Rome?
So these 2 guys have built a 26,000 square foot Roman fort in their backyard in Arkansas.
What?
Yeah. And so,
Do these people have other jobs? Because
yeah,
by the way, this isn't a job because you don't get paid for it.
Exactly.
So
This
they
is a
have
hobby.
jobs,
yeah,
and this is their hobby.
exactly. That's correct. Nobody really gets paid to do this. These guys have been doing this for 12 years. They've been adding on a little bit every year. They've got 4 watchtowers, moats. Anyway, they made me carry around a leather-bound notebook. In Rome, I would have been like, in a wax tablet or like chiseling on a stone or something. So they made concessions for me because they knew that I was sort of an embedded reporter. That's me dressed as a Roman soldier. I'm a legionnaire there, and that's 3 other members of Legion 6, which is a Southern California historical reenactment
You
group.
sound like an expert. And here's the question.
Yeah.
How do many of these people have relationships with other people in their lives, and do those other people in their lives have to be involved in this hobby?
That's a good question.
Because I don't get...
That's a good question. I would say the majority of the people, if they do it, they need a very understanding spouse or better half. Some people will do it as partners, like they actually meet. Some people get married in their reenactment clothes. Some people get buried in their reenactment clothes. This is how seriously they take it.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah.
But are they faking? Not that they're dead.
They're not reenacting
I mean,
their
they're
own
actually
death.
dead, though, right?
Yes.
They're not faking that they're dead. They're actually dead, but they're dressed up as the soldier they want to be dead.
Correct.
But what about when they're getting married?
Right.
As what?
So it's like Steve, right?
Right.
Is a Civil War soldier, just
Yes.
hypothetically,
Like
let's say. Okay.
heroic.
Heroic, yes.
Right.
Fighting
With
for the
the
North.
North.
Fighting for the North.
For the North.
Okay. And
The
you're
good guys.
so into this. You're so into it. And you meet your wife,
The beautiful Jennifer.
the beautiful Lady Jennifer.
Lady Jennifer.
In a hoop skirt.
Yes.
And you guys are so into the Civil War. You're so
Yes.
passionate about, New Jersey and the Civil War. And let's get married as Steve and Jennifer.
And she's really hot.
And she's really hot,
For
of
like
course.
1860. Go ahead.
For 1863.
Right.
It's beautiful. She's got the pigtail.
She have high heels?
She's got, why not?
Then
Did they
didn't
have high
them, but
heels?
Go ahead.
They didn't have them then.
Go ahead.
Anyway, she's wearing flats.
Go
But you
ahead.
would get actually married as Steve and Jennifer.
But for real?
But you're, but you're actually dressed up in your Civil War uniform.
Goes to my point. You have to have someone else who's into it.
I think that it would be recommended because you come back smelling, A, sleep deprived, B, and you're just coated in just dirt and grease and whatever, and you would need somebody who would truly understand that, or perhaps maybe they would leave you.
Question before I let you out here. You write the book.
I did.
Are any of these guys peeved at you?
I've gotten a few emails. Mostly everybody's been very complimentary and very respectful. Glad that I've treated them in a respectful light. But I've gotten a couple emails where people think that I've just got it all wrong. But that's okay. They're allowed to have that wrong opinion. I think that I was very considerate.
Did you do a tongue-in-cheek at times, making fun?
No, I made fun of myself, but I didn't make fun of anybody in the book. Because I think that what they do is voluntary. They're very enthusiastic about what they do. And why would I, they've let me into their lives. They let me wear their uniforms. They let me fire their weapons. Why would I'd be the biggest jerk alive if I was going to be making fun of them.
And so for someone who were to watch this and go, hey, come on, there's some mental issue going on there, you would not play that game and say, well, yeah, that makes some sense. You don't see that. You're not going to get into that.
I think that people can make up their own minds as to whether they think there's mental issues. People do reenacting for all different reasons. People want to do it because it's about their local history. Some people feel the need to do it because they have a lack of power in their lives, and people can take issues with that if they'd like.
You're going to Hong Kong in a couple days.
Yeah, what am I doing?
What are you doing? Fighting a war? What war's there?
Well, Japan occupied it for a number of years during
You're
World
not
War
doing
II.
this stuff anymore.
No.
You're done, right?
No, I've written the book, and I'm on for another adventure.
Another one. The book is called Man of War, My Adventures in the World of Historical Reenactment. Charlie Schroeder, you are terrific. I want to thank you for joining us in one-on-one. Of all the years we've been doing this, we've never had someone like you tell this story.
And you probably have another one, never one ever again.
No, I don't think so. But thank you very much. I'm just thinking about my wife during the Civil War. We'll be right back right after this. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Steve.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the CAUCUS Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by the New Jersey Education Association, working for great public schools for every child, and by Wells Fargo. Promotional support provided by NJBIZ, All Business, All New Jersey, and by the New Jersey Business and Industry Association and its monthly magazine, New Jersey Business. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been produced in partnership with St. Joseph's Healthcare System.